KB Experiment.
What's going on, everybody? Thanks for joining into the KB Experiment. You can be anywhere, but you're here with us. So, today we're going to talk to McDojo Life. Good friend of mine. Met him on this social media, Joe Rogan's podcast. He was talking about him one day, and I checked him out and fell in love with the content. It's great, and reached out. The rest is history. I've been listening, watching, not just the profile content, but the growth within this person's life because of what he created with McDojo Life. So I wanted to bring him on so we can talk about it, how he did it, how it started, did he even plan it, and where he's at today, and how it's changed his life to pretty much live off your brand, because I think that's pretty amazing. So I'm going to bring him on. Let's get to it. Everybody, I got my friend Robert here from McDojo Life, like I told you. Introduce yourself, my friend.
Hey, what's going on, man? Thank you for having me on the show.
Thanks for coming on the show. It's a pleasure.
Yeah, man. I'm excited. I like to chit-chat and talk shop.
This is true. I'm standing in the closet in my house hiding from my children. That's how every episode is, so it's the only quiet place in the house.
Hey, if it works, it works, man.
Yes, sir. So McDojo Life, that's where I found you. That's what you are. And tell me a little bit about McDojo Life.
Well, it's pretty simple. Basically, my web entity, if you will, calls out fakes, frauds, and phonies in the martial arts. And we try to do it in a satirical way. So add a little humor and levity to some pretty serious topics.
Okay. Yeah, and I found you through, of course, Mr. Joe Rogan. And I know a lot of people found you there as well. We'll talk about that in a minute. But when I found it, I dug deep and I just started following. Very interesting what you do and how you put it out there. It doesn't seem like a biased, one-sided thing. You just put it out the way it is, and whatever feedback comes back. And sometimes it's negative, sometimes it's positive. I read all the comments, but ultimately, just calling out people that are not doing what they're supposed to do. Correct?
Yeah, man. Some people get butthurt. I posted about Aikido the other day, and like the ridiculousness of most Aikido is pretty off the charts. Now, there are guys who have trained in other arts who brought some legitimacy to it, to try to make it as realistic as possible, but I would say probably 80% of it is pretty ridiculous if it's taught as self-defense. Now, some people don't. Some people teach it more as like, exercise and a way of living and, being more peaceful. That's cool. But the people who are teaching certain things as self-defense are just ridiculous. And it's going to get people hurt. Like the founder, O-Sensei of Aikido, he used to throw people around with his mind, and everybody's like, that's not the real Aikido. I'm like, that's the founder. He started it. How much real is it going to get, man? This is the dude.
Yeah, man, watching some of these videos are very hilarious from the viewer point, but I could see how somebody could, I know that a lot of people question how can they believe what they're in that situation, but the mind's a powerful thing, and if that teacher has your mind locked down a certain way, you're gonna believe almost anything, and reality will kick in when you're in the street and it doesn't work.
Yeah, and people like to pretend that that would never happen to me. I would never get manipulated by like that. But then they'll go on the internet and then they'll argue about politics for like 7 hours. It's like you're being manipulated. You're being manipulated whether you like it or not. The trick is what are you allowing to be manipulated by? But for people to say that would never happen to them, like, okay, here's an example of something that probably most of us have fallen into, right? We're in the grocery store, we're going around the aisles, and we're finished, and we go to the checkout, and then what's sitting right there at the checkout? A whole bunch of candy and nonsense, right? I'll guarantee you everybody here has probably at least one time in their life reached up and grabbed one of those things, right?
Always.
You got manipulated. They put that there on a purpose. That wasn't an accident that candy bar is sitting there, but you were manipulated. Now, if it was a good thing or a bad thing for you, that's different, but we get manipulated all the time.
Well, they don't put bananas and apples up there, so we know it's not good for you. You know what I mean? I've eaten way too many Reese's Pieces cups at checkout, so I'm a huge victim to that.
Yeah,
nonstop. By the time I get to the car, I've eaten 2 packs.
Reese's is delicious. That's a hard one to give up. Damn you, chocolate. Damn you.
I don't know if you've tried the one with the Reese's Pieces in it. It's like a chunk bar. That's like a Reese's Pieces cup with Reese's Pieces like M&Ms in them.
Oh, it's genius.
Oh my Lord. Yeah. You can't eat the whole thing in one sitting or you'll die. So normally you take like a bite or two, put it away, take another bite like a day later.
Dude, I'd love to be a fly on the wall during that board meeting. We need new ideas. Steve, what do you got? And he's like, why don't we just mix them together? God damn it, Steve. You're a genius. You are a genius. Give this man an office with a window.
Either that or it was, that's a stupid idea, Jim. You know what? I think we should just smash it all together. It's like, wait, that's what I just said. It's like, no, it was different. My idea's better.
Or maybe like the dude's in his office, right? And he's got like the product in front of him. And he's got like a deadline to meet. He's like, oh God, my boss is going to come in any minute and I have no ideas. And then like, as the boss comes in, he just like, oh my God, what do I do? And he just slaps them together and hands it to the boss. Like, what do you think? Guy's like,
damn it, Jim. You did it again.
Every time. See, this is why you get paid big bucks.
But that's the truth, man. That's how my manipulation works. And I question it and I go, this guy cannot think this is real. But again, I mean, it is what it is. So looking from the outside in, I also try to look at it the other way because I just can't see people going with it just to go with it.
Yeah, people like I think people in terms of manipulation and being manipulated, of course this is all just my opinion, I'm not a doctor or anything, but I would definitely say that I think that most people who are being manipulated in some form or fashion are kind of willing to be manipulated because they feel like it's in their best interest, because I think we do shit all the time that's not good for us, like drinking alcohol, what's that going to bring me? Well, today it brought me a hangover. All right. But, what is that going to bring you other than just having a good time for a moment? It's not good for you. It doesn't help you. You're not in your right state of mind. If you drive while you drink, you might die. You might kill someone else. You might crash your car. But we do it anyway, even though it's not in our best interest. We think that it is. And I think that's where the manipulation comes into play. You think that you want to vote for this particular person because of all the bullshit that they spilled, right? But then you feel obligated that you have to. That's where it's the problem, is when you feel that obligation instead of the freedom of choice.
Right. And it goes too with the whole notion of people don't do things for negative reasons to themselves. People don't do drugs because they want to kill themselves. They do it to feel better. Sometimes to feel better is what kind of keeps you linked in there. That along with being part of something. So I'm assuming that some of these students just feel good being part of something as a group. And that goes back to just being a human. We gather together. That's just how we are.
Yeah, so. And I think it's a really fine line between a cult, a religion, and a martial arts studio. Like it's
right. Yeah. I'm not going all
weird.
Drink this potion and you'll be fine. No.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think it all depends on the goal of the leader. I think is what is the separation. Like if you go to like a Catholic mass and you're there, right? The goal of the pastor is to save your soul, right? He's there to help you 100%, right? Now, obviously, that could be turned into something bad, but if the person's legitimately trying to help you, then that's his goal, right? But then if you like take that same ceremony and you put it up next to a martial arts studio, it becomes so creepily similar. It is amazing. Like if you so for instance, if you walk into like a Catholic church, there's a gentleman standing at the altar and he's speaking to you, and you're all on one side of the room and he's on the other. Well, if you're in a martial arts studio, it's the same way. There's a gentleman standing on one side of the room, you're all standing on the other side of the room. Then if you like go a little deeper, right, you have like whatever the deity is typically behind them, like Jesus on the cross is pretty normal. And then if you look at a martial arts studio, you have like the founding masters on pictures on walls behind them.
Yes.
Right. And then it's just like, it's so easy to turn a martial art into a religion and vice versa. Doesn't really work. You know, you don't turn like Christianity into the Christian self-defense school of Jesus. Like, it doesn't really work that way. But you can turn like a martial arts studio into a cult so easy. You know, you have all the makings of a cult all the time.
Makes sense. I agree. Okay. Well, let's take it back a bit and go to what started this whole project, this whole life pre-McDojo.
Well, I started the martial arts 22 years ago, and over 22 now. I'm getting old. But I started when I was 12 because I got beat up in school. I got jumped by a group of kids. They put me in the hospital, actually. They beat me for 5 minutes. The only reason I know it was 5 minutes is because the bell's ringing. The first bell for class to be over and the next bell for class to be in. They beat me for that entire time. 2 teachers stood there and watched the entire thing, and they didn't do anything about it. And then a friend of mine who was late to the class picked me up and helped me to the nurse's office. And he handed me a card, and the card was for karate. And he said, "You need this." And so I, because I couldn't find my way out of a paper bag. But then, you know, I started taking it my mom gave it to me as a birthday present, which was only like a month later. And then I've never stopped. And then since then, you know, I've had the opportunity to be in the martial arts as a full-time career, pretty much since the time I could work. It's all I've ever really wanted to do, and I've been very fortunate to be able to do it.
Sweet. Yeah, I've watched a lot of your nunchuck videos, and you're pretty handy. And I've seen you show your skills, so it's not like I've just watched your Instagram. And I've looked into you, I've spoken to you, I've seen other projects that you've done that are martial arts related. So, but what got you to do McDojo Life? Like, how did that come to fruition?
Well, I was teaching jiu-jitsu. So I was a jiu-jitsu coach. I've been doing jiu-jitsu for about 9 years now. And this was like 6 years ago. So I was like helping out with like a morning class and, teaching some fundamental stuff. And then we all sat around after the class was over and we started shooting the crap. We were talking about like what McDojos are, our opinions and all that stuff. But as we're sitting there shooting the shit about all these different topics, everybody decided it was time to leave. So they left. And there was one gentleman who stayed and he didn't quite get the concept. So I kind of explained to him what my thoughts were and what my rules were for a McDojo, which I have 5 standard rules now, but then they were a little different. But I told him what my rules were, and he was like, well, why doesn't anybody do anything about it? And I was like, well, there's no regulating body to the martial arts, which is pretty amazing considering what actually martial arts is as compared to all the other things that are regulated, Okay. And so there's no regulating body for the martial arts. So you could just be some dude and go, I'm a black belt now, and some made up crap, open up a studio, and it's not illegal. There's nothing illegal about it. No one can legally stop you, right? So because of that, a lot of people get taken advantage of. And so when he said, why doesn't anybody do anything about it? I kind of had that thought in my head repeating over and over and over again. And I was like, well, maybe somebody should do something about it. And then so I decided to start McDojo Life the next day. And then I just started writing these long diatribes about all these people who were frauds and phonies. But no one was really listening to it because no one likes to hear people just complain. So I decided to start making it more satirical and add a little bit more humor to it. And once I started doing that, it just started blowing up.
Nice. So I know we've talked about this before. Pre-Joe Rogan, what's the difference in traffic and feedback? And I know that when he mentioned you on his show, you got about 30,000 followers overnight. Yeah, it depends on the time that he did it. So I think he's talked about it on the show about 3 or 4 times now off the top of my head. And it's been more. I listen to almost every episode. Oh yeah, mentions you a lot. Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's awesome, and it's appreciated. It's funny because I appreciate the fact that he does that, but I appreciate the fact that anybody does that. Anybody who thinks that what I'm doing is worthy of mentioning, commenting, sharing, liking, supporting, it means a lot.
that's the only reason I do it, is for the community. So when I get people in the community, especially somebody who is a martial artist who has a lot of influence in the martial arts community, and they get it and it clicks and they understand it, which is something I appreciate about him actually, is he actually understands what I'm doing. Yeah, sometimes he shares posts on Instagram, and when he does, like, and when he talks about it, he kind of gets the concept. I'm not making fun of these people. What I'm doing is I'm letting people make their own decisions in terms of what they think is and is not legitimate. Now, if I just posted nothing but no-touch knockout stuff, then the page wouldn't do as well. But when you make it satirical, and like, let's say I post a comedy skit, which is completely 100% comedy, no real self-defense. And then we all laugh at that on Monday, right? And everybody's joking and, having a good time off of that funny skit. And then on Tuesday, I post somebody who is being 100% serious with what they're saying. But it's so ridiculous that it's very difficult to tell the difference between the comedy skit and that. Well, now we have a talking point. Now we can actually make something out of this, because now people are having a hard time processing. They go, well, this wasn't like yesterday. This is a little different. Why is it different? And then the conversation starts, and that's the whole point. The goal is to treat it like an anti-smoking campaign, like those truth campaigns.
Right.
So I'm not telling people what to do. I'm showing people what is out there, and I hope that they make the best decision for them.
That's what I love about what you do, because it's not just some dude trolling people. There's a purpose behind it. You have a conversation about it. You don't run from it either. You say, hey, I'm here anytime you need to speak about this. So your intention is to just do that, educate, because there's, a lot of people just get blindsided by false things. We all know that, but you're not a troll page or a troll brand. You expose what needs to be exposed in a way that people can decide for yourself. What do you think about this? Because I read your comment section because it's hilarious. And just in comments, you could probably make a whole nother brand out of the comments, because the things people come up with. And there's times where these guys will respond to you either on the comments or I know in private, because you've put them on blast before. In stories. And I'm like, you see, that's how you do what you do with a positive intention.
Yeah, like I've had some backlash here and there. Like, people are very hypocritical online, just to be honest. Like, if you want to see some hypocrisy, just watch somebody make two different comments on two different sections of a thread and just see how the hypocrisy rolls around. Because most people online, I think that the people who are venting, who are angry or mad, like, it just feels like it's their way of getting their day-to-day bullshit off their chest. It's kind of like people who are like abusive to people in the fast food industry. It's like that Steve is making fucking $5 an hour. His job sucks. Life sucks. You don't have to treat him like crap. Life is already treating him like crap enough. But then, Steve goes to work. He gets abused by customers. He gets abused by his boss. He's tired of it. And then so here he comes home, and then like the only place that he could really be in charge is online. He like has his account that doesn't have his face, and he has his account so it's private, and then he just unloads on people just because like he has that happen to him. And
it's the venting.
It's sad, but I understand it. So like I try not to get into arguments with people. I try to have conversations with them.
And I've seen that. That's what I mean. You're not like, I've seen other pages that are similar or brands that are similar, and but ultimately the person who runs it will, the ego comes out, the bias comes out, and they'll attack people versus trying to talk to them. And that's a turnoff, because at that point, all right, now you're just being a dick, and nobody likes that. And I haven't seen that from your end.
I had I guess when I was kind of bringing up the hypocrisy of the way people speak online, is people will ask me to go to these gyms and go to these dojos and challenge those no-touch masters to fight. So they'll praise that up and down. They'll tell me to do it. I get it every day. Every post, somebody says, why doesn't somebody go beat these people up, right? And then that's like super popular. Like that'll get like 100 likes or some shit. And then like I had a kid threaten my life. So this happened when I was in London. So while I was in London, somebody went online and just started threatening me, like threatening my life. He said he wanted to fight me. And I was like, look, dude, if I fought everybody who asked me to fight them, I would never actually have time to work. I would just be doing that. And so I was like, no, man, I'm not going to fight you. And he was like, well, you should come to my dojo. And I was like, oh, you own a dojo? Where's it at? And he like showed me and told me, he was like, I'd like you to come here and I want to fight you. And I was like, look, dude, I'm not going to fight you. I was like, I did some research and found out that it wasn't his dojo. He was opening the doors to have basically like these fist fights with people when it wasn't even his studio to do. And so then he threatened my life, and he was like, hey, man, like the next time I see you, I'm going to kill you. And like, that's where I draw the line. If you want to like make it like an honorable thing and you want to like fist fight or spar or whatever, that's a little different, you know? And every time I always kind of tinker with the notion that it'd be great content. But, you know, I just don't think that's the way you solve arguments. I really don't. I don't think that making an online argument turn into a fist fight is necessarily the best way to go about it every time. It's an option, but still, it's ridiculous.
And it has happened. There are some trolls that have been beat up by real fighters on the internet.
Yeah, I set one of those up.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, man. That's
well, let's do this. I gotta pay these bills because you know this stuff ain't. Well, it's free, but it's not. But let me break the commercial real quick. I'll be right back.
Go for it.
All right, so I get people from time to time asking me how I record my podcast. And I tell them it's simple. I do it on my phone, and I have a plug-in speaker. All I need is a quiet space and my phone. And it's free. They have all kinds of tools to help you do it, to edit, to cut, to ad-lib, whatever it is that you want. And once it's ready and you upload, Anchor has you all set up where you post it or upload the audio once or the episode, and it'll distribute it across other platforms like Spotify or podcasts or Apple Podcasts. And I mean, it does it all for you, which is pretty neat because sitting there trying to upload stuff forever takes forever. And you can make some money. So there's sponsorships, no minimum listenership. I mean, it's pretty darn easy. It's everything you need to make a podcast in your pocket. So go download the free Anchor app and go hit anchor.fm and get your podcast started.
All right, let's go. So tell me about that. What is it that you set up?
Yeah, so, well, to kind of stay on track with I kind of got off sidetrack there, but that kid had threatened my life. And so at that point, I wanted to call him out. So basically, I told him, I said, you have 24 hours to apologize. I was like, look, I get death threats all the time. I don't know which ones to believe and which ones not to. So once I get a death threat, that's the line that I draw. Like, okay, now I'm going to fuck with you. Like, now I'm going to get at you. And then so I told him, I was like, you have 24 hours to apologize. And then of course he was like, you're not going to do nothing, blah, blah, blah. And he just heckled me for like 24 hours. So then after that, I was like, all right, this is your last chance to apologize. And then he didn't. So I hit up his instructor, the page that the studio that he claimed. And I was like, hey guys, do you know that one of your students is freely opening your doors to have people just come in and fist fight? I was like, if I was a business owner and I had somebody representing my business in such a light, you know, I'd be kind of upset because it opens the door for lawsuits and makes your business look bad. And then so they were like, oh, we'll take care of it. So a couple hours went by and I go, hey man, all I want the kid to do is apologize. That's it. And he was like, oh, well, we don't see anything wrong. It doesn't seem like you're all that upset about it, honestly. And I was like, oh, by me contacting you, that meant I was upset, right?
Yeah.
And so I was like, all right, man. I was like, all right, now I'll give you guys 24 hours to get me an apology. And then so after that, I put them all on blast. I put up the names, addresses, telephone numbers, put absolutely everything up online. And then I posted all the screenshots of all the death threats and stuff. And then within 4 hours after that, I got my apology.
Please, I'm sorry.
And then
I'll never do it again.
The dude was like, man, I had to turn my profile private. People are harassing me.
I was like, you were harassing me. This is exactly what it feels like. There are consequences to your actions. And then he was like, can you please take it down? And I was like, I'll take it down once you send me a video apology. And I was like, and so he did. He sent me a video apology, which I still have saved in my phone. That's awesome.
Yeah, man, because fuck that guy. And
you know what? People suck, man. They think that that there's no strength out there, and then they'll do something, and they've probably done it a million times, but one day somebody's gonna check you.
Yeah,
you got to be ready for that.
I posted his apology up, so I took down all the screenshots of all the bad stuff that he said, but I put up his apology, and I was like, "This is a warning. Like, if you're going to threaten my life, I'm going to put you on blast, and it's going to be embarrassing for you." And then people were like all over me. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They were like, "Why would you do that? That's not right." I was like, literally 2 days ago, y'all wanted me to go and beat him up. But I do it in a peaceful manner, and you get upset. That's ridiculous to me.
Well, the internet just wants violence and clown shit.
Yeah, they're
not into.
You know.
But see, the thing is, and I'm sure you notice, or you know this, is you have a huge following behind the brand, you and the brand.
Yeah.
And people really stand up for what you do, and of course you got all those other people that just want to see fighting. But some of the people that I've worked with, like the high level celebrity style, they'll do things on social media, and sometimes it's not attractive to the masses, but they do it for those hardcore fans, those real followers.
Yeah.
So while those other guys are out there talking shit because you didn't go fight, you probably have a good amount of people going, "That's how you handle things," and that's why they follow you, and that's why they support you, because of that character that you bring out.
Yeah.
Because not everybody's going to like it, but it's important to realize it, to speak about it, and to acknowledge it, because to me that's one way you can improve things in society. Because let's be honest, we influence people.
That's what we do. That's the name of the job, actually.
Mm-hmm. I mean, in retrospect, like, we have our own opinions, but people, listen to us and believe what we say. So if we take advantage of that, that's a problem, because now we're leading people in the wrong direction. And that's why I always say, this is my opinion. This is my deal. I don't know what the truth is or not, or I'm not an expert, but this is just how I feel. So go do your own research. Go look at your own facts, and if I'm wrong, tell me.
Yeah, I think that's another big part of like being an influencer is, people are really listening to you.
Oh yeah, no, I and me, same thing. I don't always think so, and then I get DMs of like the other day I posted a picture of myself without a shirt on, my fatness, and I'm like, this is what it looks like when you're unhealthy and you don't eat right.
Yeah.
I was like, Instagram is all ponies and rainbows. I was like, but no, look, this is what real life looks like. I'm not going to hide behind it. I need to fix it. But then people DM me and say, "Man, I appreciate you doing that. I feel like shit." And I thought it was, they just feel in their own little hole, and things like that bring them out of that hole.
Yeah.
In a positive way. And they, it's just a positive thing. Other people talk shit and they're like, "Oh, what are you doing? That's stupid." I'm doing what I want. I'm like, I'm showing the truth. I'm trying to be authentic. I'm not going to suck my stomach in and be like, "Look, I look good."
Yeah.
No, I mean, it is what it is. But I know that other people will see that and use that as fuel to go, "You know what? I need to get my shit together."
Yeah.
And when I get those DMs, it tells me I need to get my shit together, because people are watching, and I think it's like a responsibility. Use it wisely kind of thing,
Yeah, you don't really get a choice either. Like, the internet is undefeated,
ruthless.
You can't,
heartless.
It's you don't get a choice. Like, when all the eyeballs are on you with every little move and action that you make, it's very important that you make good decisions and you try to put out good positive messages, and
be authentic.
Yeah, what I never really understood, like, I'm trying to wrap my mind around it now, is TikTok is a new social media, fairly new in the grand scheme of things, and all the people who were super popular on TikTok, to me, are fucking idiots. Like, I've seen people like basically stand in the camera, right? They're like, be like a 12-year-old kid, stand there and just stare in the camera for like 30 seconds, not say, not do anything, but just stare in the camera. And I like looked at it and it had like over 2 million likes, and I was like,
what the fuck?
What? You didn't do anything. There was no context here. You just stared in a camera, and all of these people are following you. Like, I never quite got it. I'm still trying to figure it all out.
You know what it is? We won't figure it out, because our minds don't think that way.
Too old now.
I don't even think it's about age. It's just like my wife. I love my wife. She's a very amazing person. Very, very humble. She won't hurt a fly.
Yeah.
And she can't wrap her head around why people can be such assholes. And I tell her, I'm like, look, you're never going to, because you don't have that in you.
Yeah.
So how are you going to understand something you don't know about? So it's the same thing. Like, I just stopped thinking about, man, what the hell's, all right, I don't know, whatever's going on in their brain, it is what it is. And I probably like it too. Just be like, you know what? I just want to like it to add another like. I think it's funny to see stupid things like that have 100 million views. It's like, just like, okay, fuck it. I'll jump in. And, you know, but it's just a platform, and the internet picks and chooses what it wants. And it's yeah, I mean, it is what it is. But let me jump into how. So you travel a lot now, correct?
Yeah, this year I decided that McDojo Life was going to be my full-time job. So in January, I kind of set myself up to travel quite a bit. And then now I can't stop traveling. I just won't really, the business won't allow me not to, for growth. And then so I've traveled quite a bit this year. Next year I'll be traveling way more for the documentary. But It's been interesting. It's once I made the decision in January to make this a full-time career and job, it just kind of started organically growing into a job that required travel. You know, people always want you to go interact, or you need to collaborate, or you need to go work with other people. But even when you travel, like, you're on such a tight crunch. You know, it's like, all right, well, I have to meet, I can meet like 50 of these people, right? Well, each one of these people is going to create X amount of time. Which one of those is going to benefit the business the best if this is a business trip, right? And it's really difficult because I hate it. I'd rather stay. Like, even when I go live, I let anybody who wants to go live with me, so we can just talk and chat, whoever it is. I don't even care, because I am so appreciative of the fact that they follow my page and support. Well, when I go travel, people always invite me to go to their gyms or their dojos or hang out or be on the show. And it's like, well, I only have so much time, and I feel terrible every time I travel somewhere and I miss or I can't talk with someone.
Yeah, I've done that. I traveled to New York mid-year, you know, and I was supposed to go do a bunch of stuff, and I only had 2 days or 2.5 days, and it just, you can't fit it all in. But you know, it's a good change in pace, I'm assuming, to go from not doing it full time, you know, because you're trying to grow a brand while you're working a regular job. And then, you know, when do you decide, all right, you know what, I'm going to do this and I'm going to take that leap, because that's a hard pill to swallow if it don't work.
Yeah.
You know?
I think it's one of those burn the bridges thing, or burn the boats. You know, like once you arrive on the shore and you make the decision that you're going to have a fight forward, like, you burn those boats and you won't have a choice. You know, there's no turning back. You have to go forward. And that's kind of like the decision that I made is, you know, I gave myself a year. I said, in 1 year, I want this to make as much money as I spent to get it going. And then that's been where I'm at. And I actually have a feeling that, you know, by the end of this year, once I check out my books and I see like what the spend to earn ratio was and how the brand is doing and the monthly sales off of all the pillars of income, like, I have a feeling like I'll probably be able to continue to do this next year, you know?
I like that. And that's another thing that I follow with your brand is I know you went full time, and every time I see you somewhere different, I feel joy. I'm like, man, I love to see people win. I love to see people succeed and live what they love in life. And that's what you're doing. I mean, you're breaking bread with some, you know, high level people in the martial arts world.
And I think it's all about building good relationships. Like, I have a theory, and I could be completely wrong, and I'm sure some people will give me crap about this, but it's still just a theory. It's from what I've noticed. You know, like, I have a feeling that if you are surrounded by good people and you've made great relationships with people, that you'll never be homeless. Like, you know, if everything falls apart tomorrow and you lose everything, right? And you've built good relationships with people, then they'll be willing to help you out with open arms because you were there for them. And
very true.
It's always so strange when people talk about, what do you consider success? You know, is it money? Is it, you know, is it fame? Is it items like houses or cars? You know, everybody's version of success is different.
Right.
My version of being truly successful is having enough strong relationships to where I know that if anything ever happens, that someone will be there for me. To me, that is success.
Yeah, I agree. That's amazing. And, giving out so much positive feedback to the world, it comes back. If you throw out a lot of negative shit, don't get mad when it hits you in the face, because it's going to come back to you. Karma is real, if that's what you want to call it. And, I've lived it. I've done, I was a bad kid when I was younger, and I had a lot of bad results. Then it changed my life, and I treat everybody the same, equal. I'm going to give everyone respect, even to people that others don't feel they deserve respect. I still respect them. And I've made friends from people that are looked at that way. Oh, don't talk to Jim because he's an asshole. Everybody thinks he's an asshole. Well, I'm not going to gauge him from what you guys say. And then I become friends with him. How come you guys could talk? I was like, because I gave him respect and I talked to him. Because you got to earn that respect from certain people, but you got to respect them.
Yeah, there's an interesting thing that happens with my page too. Is I have a show where I have bring in guys, and we talk. Everything's up on YouTube. I gotta transfer everything to a podcast, honestly.
Yeah,
I suck. I gotta get that going. I have like 20 something episodes right now, I think. Just need to convert it to audio. But any case, on the show I bring in people who I think would be interesting to talk to in the martial arts community, right? And it's they don't necessarily have to have like this wealth of experience and knowledge. They just have to have a unique perspective, right? So I brought in one lady who was only like a white belt in jiu-jitsu, right? But I was highly curious how she was treated in the community because her job was so unique. She actually did she's like a sex therapist, sex coach, right? But she's also a martial artist. Like, how do you get treated? Because like it's such a male dominant thing. I was just fascinated by the entire thing. And people gave me so much crap about bringing that person in. Like, what does she know about martial arts? Blah, blah, blah. I was like, well, that's the problem right there. That's exactly why I'm bringing her in. Is because all of you guys are downing it. You're upset for no reason. It's like, you let her talk her perspective. Or, I just brought in a guy, which was very unique. I had Master Wong come on the show. And Master Wong on YouTube has got like millions and millions of followers, like very well-known YouTube celebrity. But people in the martial arts community love to give him a hard time. And I think that's what happens once you get a little higher to the top of the food chain, is you're going to have more hate. It's just how it goes, right? But then when I brought him on the show, people were giving me a hard time about that. Like, why would you bring in this fraud? It's like, why wouldn't I want to have a conversation with somebody? Like, why do I need to listen to your perspective? I'd rather gather my own perspective, have open-ended conversation. I don't have to agree with everything someone says to like them. That you don't, right? I have a friend, and me and him do not agree about politics at all, not even close. But we've been friends since middle school. We've been friends since middle school. So it's just, I think people have this like black and white version of people. Like, you have to like them or you have to not. Like, not necessarily. I can like a lot of things about someone and not hate them, or dislike a lot of things and not hate them, and still think that they're a good human being.
Yeah, no, I got you, man. It's not everything is black and white. There's many colors to the spectrum, and what applies to you may not apply to 7 other people, but they may have a different way of handling it. So it's good to have and look at all the different opinions and different ways people are doing things, because that's how we learn. Yeah. When you're closed-minded, I don't want to know what she has to say. She sucks. All right, well, obviously we know you're closed-minded and you're not willing to accept more into your craft or whatever it is you do. And that's what, to me, that's what defines this person that's great and then an average person. If you can take it all in and then use all that and better yourself or your brand or whatever it is that you're doing, that's like an elevated person to me. You know what I mean? You're using your brain in the right way.
And I think you can learn something from everybody. I think sometimes what you learn is what not to do, but still you can learn something if you just pay attention.
Oh yeah, without a doubt. I mean, there's lessons in everything. Even how to do things, how not to do things, we can go into that forever, but I mean, it's just what it is. Pay attention. There's a lesson in something. And I hate when other people are like, why are you always trying to be so positive? Why are you always trying to look for something positive and this? I'm like, because trying to live in a negative world sucks. Living in your own negative vibe sucks. So I'm going to look at everything with a positive. Right, you know what? At least this didn't happen, or this is what I learned from that. Yeah, I lost money. Okay, well, I know how not to lose money. You know what I mean? Use those things to your advantage. It's just,
failure.
If not, you'll never progress.
Yeah, man, failure is awesome. Like, a lot of people are terrified to fail, and it's like that's what good shit happens. You know? Yeah, that's what growth happens.
There's times where I've had $80,000 in my bank account, and then a year later I have 800, and I'm like, what the fuck happened? What did I do? But I learned, and I said, okay, and then just keep going. I could have sit there and dwell on it, and cry. Oh, I lost all this money, but whatever. It's money. I'll make more. I'm grateful that I was able to make that money, so I should be able to do it again. Yeah, you know what I mean?
Money's funny. Like, money's such an interesting thing because in the grand scheme of things, if you really think about it, it's not that important. You know,
it's not everything. Like, your money's not going to get you certain things. Like, I'm pretty sure you can relate to this. There's certain people out there that I can talk to on a different level, like celebrities and very important people in certain areas of life that others can't. And that didn't cost me a dime. That was the relationship I built with them. You know, so I can't go I can pay someone $100,000 to go talk to them, but if they're willing to talk to me because of who I am and the relationship we built, like, for example, I had I was gonna go, when I went to New York, I was supposed to go meet with Gary Vee, right?
Yeah.
People pay him thousands of dollars just to sit down and talk to him, right? I've talked to him before on social media. I've talked to his team, and he's, I've communicated with them. They say, you know what? Come down to New York whenever you're here. Gary will see you. And guess what? He did. He set it up, and I'm like, you know what? This guy has enough respect for me to give me 15, 20 minutes of his time. That didn't cost me any money. That was just a relationship thing. You know what I mean? So money isn't everything. There's so much more to life.
Yeah, and
it helps.
It does help. I'm not gonna lie. Like, money damn sure can't buy you happiness. I can tell you that shit right now. Nothing makes me happier than sitting on some beach somewhere drinking some high dollar alcohol while I get the tan on. Like, that's happiness to me. You know, that ain't shit, you know. But
I'm with it. I got you.
Yeah, man. I feel very fortunate to be in this particular industry. I think mostly because it's so uncharted. Like, being some type of an influencer in some way is such an odd path to go for like a career. It just there are people who have done it, you know, like, I think documentary I watched the other day said it really, really well, which basically was like the very first like social media type influencer who did so well to like pave the way for people was like Paris Hilton. She was like the first person to really set up any type of a blueprint for how this stuff works. And even though like during her heyday, she kind of came off as an idiot, but that was, I think, the character she was trying to build, you know, and it worked. And she got very popular, and now everybody pretty much follows that blueprint. You know, people were like socialites being famous for just the sake of being famous is now a thing. Like the Kardashians and stuff like that. Like, what do you do? Like, I don't know. I'm here. I exist.
Just here. Yeah. And to be honest, that's kind of me. Like, I had no intention of doing anything that I'm doing now at all. And then as it rolled out, it happened. And then people are like, hey, what do you do? I was like, I don't fucking know. I don't know what I do. I just do me. You know, I'm just me.
Yeah.
And that's, you know, I don't have there's no name for what I do because I'm just, you know, people like to see themselves in others. So when I come off as authentic, they're like, oh, well, I feel like shit too. So, you know, I'm not trying to portray this life that's amazing. It's not. It is, but it's not. You know, I do things that others can't, but at the same time, I still go to work. I got kids. I pay my bills, and we're all in the same boat. So I don't want to try to separate myself from y'all. But and that's why I started the podcast. So I was like, all right, let me start a podcast because I just want to talk about things. You know, in my perspective and your perspective, and just get that conversation out there. And I'm sure you've done other podcasts. You've talked about the same things, but it was a different conversation.
Yeah, I enjoy it. I love talking shop.
Yeah. So let me ask you this: what's the most important thing you've learned out of all this?
I'm fucking still learning, I guess.
Yeah, you'll always learn, but
I mean, in terms of like the martial arts, like it's always been giving. Like I think that was the one thing that I gathered from martial arts, and that's changed. Like in my experience in the martial arts period, every 5 years I tend to find a different reason to continue to do it. So like my perspective changes, my outlook on life changes, and who I am changes. And you're always going through these constant growth spurts. And it seems to me like every 5 years it's different. Like I started martial arts because I wanted to learn how to fight. That was it. That was my only intention, was to beat up people who were trying to beat me up. And then, after that, I found like a love for competition. And then my goal was like, okay, well now I really would like to be able to be a high level competitor. Right. And then, during that time, my goal was also to get my black belts, my first black belt. And then, over the years after that, my competition days were over. I was like, well, you know what? Like, I want to teach. Like, I just want to teach. That I would love to do nothing more than that. Then, time passes on. And then it was like, well, now I want to really help people. I want to make a mark on the community. Like, I love the martial arts. Like, I want to make a mark where if I die, people knew I existed. They're like, oh my God,
right.
So that's a little bit more where I am right now, is like, I really want to help people. I want to, if I can help 30 people in one class and I have to do that every day and grind that out. Right. That's great. I help those people, and those 30 people interchange and change over the years. But with this, like with a social media account or with having more influence, like I can help more people. And so that's very empowering. It feels great. It feels like a position where you existed, and you existed for something. And, that's where I am now. And I'm sure in 5 years that'll probably change. But, what I really gather out of all this is no matter what I do, it just seems like I want to help people. It seems like that's the best avenue for anything. Just really put an effort into genuinely wanting to help people. And it just falls back on you in such a good way. Like, I've never had a day where I wake up and hate this job. And I think it's because I enjoy helping people. That's it,
I don't think it's a job, it's a lifestyle. I like to say it that way.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool. And okay, well, that's interesting. Well, that's good, man. I love to talk to you about all this stuff. I want you to plug what your Instagrams and social. Where do you want people to find you?
Oh, that's simple, man. You can pretty much find me on everything at McDojo Life. The only page right now that's not McDojo Life is on Reddit, which I just recently discovered, because on Reddit, I went to go start a subreddit called McDojo Life. And then when I went to go do it, somebody had already done it, but doesn't do anything with the account. So the account is there. Yeah. And I'm like, you suck so bad as a human being. It's like, so on Reddit, it's the McDojo Life.
I've been there. Yeah, so sometimes people grab your name and then hold it hostage.
Yeah. So. And they can have it. I'm not gonna pay for something that is mine.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm gonna put all that info in the description. I'll post it up on Instagram and Facebook. We'll share this everywhere. And what does let me ask you this: 5 years from now, you said things will be different. Yeah. What does different look like to you? Where do you want to be in 5 years?
Well, I love the 5-year question. It's like my favorite. It's just like it's envisioning where things can lead to, and that's like that manifest destiny, where if you just believe it, say it, that it will happen. And so for me, I see I would like to have a McDojo Life office. Okay. I would love an office where I have a staff. I'd love to have someone in charge of each different particular version of what McDojo Life does. I'd like to have one person in charge of apparel, one person in charge of events. I'd like to have one person in charge of any of the graphics and designs that we do. I'd like to have people in places so that way I can have a little bit more freedom to make this bigger than it is today. Because right now I handle everything, and pretty much every day looks like a 14 to 16 hour work day. Every day. I don't take breaks. Like, this is Sunday, right? And I'm right here working. I love it though. I love it so much. There's nothing else I'd rather do. But I definitely think that having a McDojo Life office would be great. We just started doing events.
Events.
Country. So that's gonna be
okay.
And I'd like to have some people in charge of that. So I just want a team, man. I want this to grow.
Assistance is key. Yeah, I get you. Well, that's cool, man. And the last question: if you had to be one animal, any animal, which animal would it be?
Oh man, I would like to be a I don't know. I think I'd like to be a unicorn. Unicorn's got it good, you know. You got the horn thing going on for him, do magical shit. I'd be all about
it. I always said I'd be a deer, bro. Anything about a deer, bro?
Bro.
Deer, bro. You ever heard of a deer, bro?
No.
A half deer, half zebra. You gotta listen to Kevin Hart's. Just put it on YouTube, deer, bro.
Okay.
It's the most funniest story he ever said in his life. I love it. So when my boss asked me that question when I got hired, you know, what kind of animal would you be? And I said, so I'd be a deer, bro. I said, what the fuck is a deer, bro? I'm like, I won. Like, I won this question. No one's ever won, but I won. Shit. Rob, I appreciate your time, man. I appreciate you coming out and taking your Sunday and sharing this with all of us. I hold it dear to my heart because you could do anything you want, and you're here with the king, Borris. So, is there anything else you want to say?
No, man. I just thank you so much for the support. You know, me and you have been chatting now for I feel like maybe well over a year. Yeah. You know, so I just appreciate the constant support, and you know, so I always try to support people. It's definitely been over a year. Yeah. You know.
I think a year and a half ago is when I found you. Maybe 2 years. I was, I believe so. And I reached out, and I remember I just love when your followers go up and your engagement goes up. I watch a lot, so I love it. But all right, brother, I'm gonna share you everywhere. You have a good one. Have a good rest of the year. I wish you nothing but luck. And when you're in Houston, tell me where you're at. I'll go to you. That way you don't have to, you know, break what you're doing. I'll go find you. That way it makes it easier because I want to sit down and have at least lunch, something.
Yeah, definitely. I'd really love to be back in Houston for one of my events too, because it seems like they would probably do fairly well out there. So that probably will be happening.
Yeah, I think you have a few people out here now that you're friends with that are in that martial arts world.
Yeah, I got a couple homies out in Texas, so I like it a lot out there.
It's nice out here, but it's hot.
Yeah.
All right, brother. Be safe. We'll talk again.
All right, man. Catch you later.
Peace.